Victoria police officers will be armed with semi-automatic rifles as part of a push to crack down on crime.
Crack down on crime is a pretty vague description for the introduction of 800 military assault weapons. I mean, what does a crackdown mean, and what crime are they talking about?
These new guns add some pretty serious firepower to the arsenal of Victoria Police. 800 of these rifles will be rolled out to specialist and frontline officers over the coming year, and they pack a pretty serious punch. The 5.5mm semi-automatic rifles can carry 30 rounds at one time and are pretty accurate from 300 metres away.
So just looking at the numbers there, you've got 800 rifles by 30 rounds in the first magazine, so that's 21,000 bullets up that could be fired up to 300 metres. So what crime has all of a sudden they need to crack down on that justifies? And that's just the first volley of bullets. They can always stick more magazines and fire another 21,000 rounds of lethal bullets into the Melbourne public up to 300 metres away.
Currently, police say that the handguns that they're using just aren't up to scratch when it comes to taking out moving targets at close quarters.
Again, I'll just point out they're being very vague with their descriptions here. Not up to scratch. Was that they got statistics to back that up? If they got a list of instances where they said, look, here's where we had a handgun, we had a bad result, but we had a military rifle that could fire that was lethal up to 300 metres away, we would have got this result. Are they going to produce any of that, or is it just not up to scratch? And they just contradicted themselves. They said they could fire up to 300 metres, yet this paper says they haven't got the capability to deal with close quarters incidences.
Hope that these new guns will give them an extra advantage in tackling major incidents, not unlike what we saw in Burke Street Mall in 2017 with those two driving attacks there, and then of course in the incident that occurred in November last year with that terror attack there.
Okay, well here's one that they've referenced to justify these guns. What are they saying? That they didn't have, he was in close quarters and they didn't fire with a handgun because they didn't feel they would do the job. But if they had have had these military assault rifles, they would have shot Jimmy dead right then and there. And with this second example that they brought up another driving incident in Burke Street. I can't remember exactly which one they're referring to there. There was a few going on at that point in time. But they also brought this one up. Well, they did shoot him with a handgun and it successfully stopped him. It killed him, sure. So they didn't need these military assault rifles that can fire 30 rounds up to 300 metres. So the two justifications they got don't seem to hold any water. They're being very vague about the actual reason for these weapons.
But Victoria Police have said this is in keeping with major international cities around the world where these guns are already accessible.
So as evidence, the official reasons for giving police these assault rifles doesn't really hold water. They've gone for the old, Timmy's got an Xbox, I want an Xbox.
You won't see these on the streets, but they will be kept in police stations and used by first responders.
There's a contradiction in the very same sentence. They're not sort of saying a sentence and then a couple of minutes later contradicting it, giving time for people to forget about it. They're just putting the contradiction in the same sentence. Who's writing these scripts? Of course, the contradiction is that they're going to be locked up in a police station and then used by first responders. Unless the incident is inside the police station, while the cabinet's open, then someone can grab one and respond first. And they're not going to be used by first responders unless police see an incident and think to themselves, okay, we don't have these guns, nobody responds. Some guys slashing somebody. Never happens, always hoaxes, but they put on a show. Well, we're not going to respond yet. We've got guns, handguns, but they're not good enough. We're going to wait till we get the assault rifles. Like I said, they don't even, the quality of news, there is no news, sorry. The quality of their script writing is just appalling.
When needed. But Jane, look, this sends a pretty strong message to criminals and others that would do us harm.
When they first started talking about having military weapons aimed at the public, it was all when they were running all these hoaxes for Jimmy. And look, here's a snapshot from the Brighton siege. And this was one of those hoaxes that they ran to justify, first of all, having these machine guns to deal with terror and terror only, and also the shoot to kill laws. But now that it's morphed to, they're going to use them on anyone that would do us harm. So a thug is about to mug and bash someone at, say, a train station late at night. What are they going to stop and go, hang on a minute, a couple of k's away are some machine guns all locked up. I better not do it. Obviously, the real reason for these rifles is what they've said. It's for when people are hitting the streets protesting, like the yellow vests protests in France, when they realise through taxation and the transfer of public assets over to the bankers, once that starts to bite, as well as the bail-in law that was brought in, the execution of that by AUSTRALIS, where the banks take your bank deposits. Now, they brought that law in on February 17th, 2018 in secret, and they brought it in not for no reason. They know they're going to use it, so they are going to take your bank deposits. They didn't bring that law in for no reason and in secret. Now, of course, we know that they've installed all these bollards. Now, people are going to be protesting. Now, how they're in large numbers to get into the city, because that's the only place people protest is going to work, you know, out on a farm somewhere where no one could see it, it's not going to work. Everyone's coming to the city, of course. And this is the major transport hub in Melbourne. Now, they've got the bollards already, those big concrete blocks. They're not bollards, they're crowd control measures, because this is where people are going to be spilling out. Now, another reason they like to have people to go through the public transport system is they've got all their facial recognition software and cameras. So if they know that there's an organiser that they want to take out, they can see exactly what the facial recognition camera will register. Oh yeah, here he is. They'll be able to track people around the city. They've got cameras that can cover the whole city, so they can just put someone's name in and just watch exactly where they are at any point in time, like a little dot on the map. So this Joe Blogs organiser comes out, and they know that he's here. And there's other facial recognition cameras that will identify him. Now, they want to be able to shoot them dead, by the way. As they're damaging the people over in these yellow vest protests in France, they're going to start shooting them dead too. But they want to shoot specific organisers as a lesson to everybody else. So they're going to be down here at Flinders Street. And the reason why they need rifles to fire 300 metres, if the cops just shot them dead with a handgun, there's more chance of them being called out on it, seen. But with weapons that can fire from 300 metres accurately, they don't care if they hit a few other people, by the way. They don't care about killing people. So let's just have a quick look at some distances here. So we'll start from here, and we'll just start to measure. So there's 65 metres. So there's 119 metres. So anywhere, so over 300 metres. So anywhere within here, they can start picking people off with these weapons that they've got, that they've justified and under law are allowed to have. See, if they get caught, they've got the shoot to kill laws. But the whole idea of firing from these ranges, say from up here, just shoot someone dead. So that's what these weapons are actually for. They're not for Jimmy Gargasaurus, as we've seen. They're not for that idiot that was running around. Whether that guy actually got shot dead or not, who knows. But they said he got shot with a handgun. Well, they didn't need one of these weapons. So that's what these weapons are for. Because, like I said, there's bollards here. People are going to restrict their movement. And look, they ran all of these psyops in Swanston Street because it's right where people are going to be coming out. A lot of this has been practice. So, because if where people would want to march is right into the centre of the city, which is up at Burke Street. So they would come here. They're going to go straight up Swanston Street. So all this is going to be carefully marked. And even if someone gets to this intersection, let's say measure the distances here. Measure distance. Okay, so there's 50 metres, like 300 metres, you're going to be able to shoot anyone with an anonymity. And that's what these weapons are about. Alright, that's it for this one.